Hello everybody, and welcome back to my wood shop. Today I want to talk a little bit about card scrapers. So I've been working on this garden bench, and we're going to talk about a card scraper. And card scraper is a great way to reduce your time with a sanding block. It helps remove tear out, any lines or anything you got in your wood that you need to remove before you go to your finishing process. After you get done with a card scraper, you do need to go back over and do your final sand with 180 or 220, whatever your preference is. But this is a good way to go ahead and take that, I don't know, 150, 100 grit sanding out of your process. So let's go ahead and we'll jump into prepping your card scraper for putting the burr on the edge. So the first thing we want to get is a mill file, a smooth mill file here. I like to clamp it in my vise just a little proud above the jaws. That way I don't have to worry about my scraper getting into the jaws on my vise. But the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take flat down, and I'm going to remove any burr if it's a used scraper. If it's a new one, I'm going to go ahead and do this as well to take any machining marks out of it, so I don't have to worry about that being in the burr once I go ahead and put that burr on there. So I'm going to lay it flat on my file. I want to just trying to get even pressure all the way across. And I'm just going to gradually go back and forth. So it doesn't take a whole lot to remove material. One thing I forgot to tell you is you can use regular oil as a lubricant for this. I learned kind of a neat little trick. I don't keep oil on hand in my shop, so kind of a neat little thing I figured out is you've got oil in your skin. So I like to just rub my finger kind of behind my ear, because that's where it seems like everybody's got a little more oil there. But then you can just rub that on the edge of your scraper there, and that tends to be enough oil that you need to do this sort of thing. So we've got the one side down. I'm going to go ahead and get the other. For the sake of time, I'm only going to do the one edge on here to show you all. So now we've got both of these cleaned up, and now we need to get this face here. So we're going to be referencing flat, but we want to try to make sure that stays square. So in order to keep it square, what I like to do is I'll take it and I'll actually bow it a little bit. So when I bow it, I can lay it flat on that file, and I know I'm not going to rock either way. So with a little bit of bow in it, it helps it stay square. So again, we're just going to go back and forth here a little bit. So that feels pretty good. I'm basically just kind of running my finger across it to see if I got any little burrs, nicks, or anything in that. Because if we have them in this right now, then once we put our burr on it, it's actually going to transpose into that burr, and you'll actually have that little nick show up in your workpiece. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and take and clamp our card scraper in the vise here. Alright, so I've got this little burnisher here. This is Veritas. There's a couple different styles. I personally like this because I use my scraper a lot, and it just makes quicker work of it. But you can get a regular stick burnisher, so it's just a piece of high speed steel in just a round stick form, and you got to manually hold it at whatever angle you want, and to burnish it. This has this little gauge on here. I like to set my burr at around 5 to 7 degrees. But the first thing you want to do when you're prepping for your burr is you want to do a 90-degree pass across here. So we'll go ahead and make a pass. It's, I mean, moderate to heavy pressure. You're just running across there. I like to do a couple passes each direction. Alright, so now we've actually created a little bit of a mushroom on there. We've not actually created a big burr on it, but just a little bit of a mushroom. So this is when I go to 5 to 7 degrees. We'll just kind of eyeball it there at 6 degrees. So I've got it set at 6 degrees. We're going to come across here. Decently heavy pressure. So do a few more passes here. Alright, so now we'll get the other side of it. Now I'm just kind of keeping track of the number of passes I'm making, so we kind of make them even. So we got a little bit of a burr. You can catch it with your fingernail, and that's what we want. I like a little heavier burr, so I'm going to give it a few more passes. Alright, that feels pretty good. So now we've got our scraper sharpened, if you will. It's not necessarily sharpening it, but we're just creating that burr, and that's what we want. So we're going to come here, get my workpiece here. I've got a piece of stock here that I'm actually going to use for a leg on this bench, but I can look in here and I can see I got some tear out here. So we're going to come, that edge that we got that burr on, we're going to come in here, and the way I like to do it, once again, I'm going to take and bow a little bit. So that way I'm not 100% flat, because you're not necessarily going to do the entire board. It's more of a, to take those imperfections out. So if you put a bow in it, you're going to get that little bit of a belly, and you won't have such a hard transition, and you can kind of smooth that out. So we're going to take it, 2 thumbs right behind where I'm planning on cutting at, put a little bit of pressure, and I'm starting to make light passes here. And it'll take you a little bit of time to figure out that exact angle, but what we're looking for are these nice little shavings. So if you can see here, I've created actually a little shaving like what you would get out of a hand plane. And that's what you're wanting. I mean, it's super fine. It'll turn to dust as soon as you start messing with it. But that's what you want. As soon as you start getting real fine dust, so if all you're getting is dust as if it's coming off your sandpaper, then you know you've got a dull scraper, or you're not quite getting that right angle to create your cut there. So just in recap, so we're putting burr on it, and the reason for using the card scraper is to reduce your time using sandpaper. And I mean, I think you can pick up a burnisher and it comes with this scraper, something like 30 bucks or something from Woodcraft. I mean, it's not super expensive. And in the long run, you're going to save way more than $30 in sandpaper by the time you're done with it. So just a little thing I wanted to share with you all, because it is something that saves a bunch of time and actually saves you some money in the shop. So it's a great investment. You can get them in different profiles and everything, so I think they're great investment, worth the time as far as sharpening everything, and actually I think it saves you some money and time in the long run. So once again, thank you for watching. If you liked my video here, go ahead and like and subscribe, and go ahead and check out the rest of my videos. Thanks.